Mr. Trevor here, and I want to remind you in this video about slope-intercept form of a line and point-slope form of a line, okay? So we're talking about lines here, we're talking about linear relationships, and there's kind of two major ways, these two ways to write the equation of a line. The one you're definitely more familiar with is slope-intercept form, okay? So slope-intercept form looks like this. There we go. I know that. That's y equals mx plus b. I know. Slope-intercept is the fancy name for y equals mx plus b form. Okay? So slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b form. So it tells you the equation of a line. We messed around with this in the Desmos thing. You'll remember that the m is the slope. It's your rise over run. It's your how much up divided by how much you go over. It's your rate of change. The b is the intercept part, and specifically it's the y-intercept. It's the starting point. Okay? Remember, when you write an equation in slope-intercept form, the m and the b are numbers, but the x and the y stay letters. Okay? It's still going to be a relationship between x's and y's. Okay? So you're still going to have an x and a y in it. Okay? And that's slope-intercept form. That's the one you're much more familiar with. Let's do a couple things with that, and then we'll talk about the point-slope one. So, hey, write the slope-intercept y equals mx plus b form of the equation of this line. Oh, okay. So I need to do y equals something x plus something. Okay. This thing is the easier thing to figure out first. It is the y-intercept. It is where this graph crosses the y-axis. So if you look at this line here, how far up or down is it on the y-axis here? Well, it's actually not up or down at all. The y-intercept here is 0. So I'm going to put a plus 0 here. To figure out the slope, I would recommend doing rise over run. Okay? It really helps if you pick 2 points that are on the So specifically, I might pick like that point's definitely on the graph, and then like these points are hard to tell where they are. So pick another point that's like definitely at a point that you can read. And when you're trying to figure out the slope, you do rise over run. So boom, boom. Now what you'll notice is we're not actually rising and running, we're going down and running. So we're kind of falling and running. So we went down 5 over 1. Your slope is -5 divided by 1. Your slope's always a fraction, but sometimes you'll see it simplified. What's -5 divided by 1? -5. So you might see the equation of this line written like that in slope-intercept form. Okay? Let's do another one real quick. Write the slope-intercept form of the line with the given slope and y-intercept. Well, this is as easy as it gets. They told me the slope, and they told me the y-intercept. I can write this in y equals mx plus b form. Y equals, it's going to look like this. I'm going to toss the slope in right there. Boom. I'm going to toss the y-intercept right there. Boom. And I'm done. You might just see it written as y equals -x plus 3. Okay. 2 more relating to slope-intercept before we do the point-slope thing. So here, excuse me, they give me the equation of a line, but it doesn't look normal. It's all weird. But they tell me to write the slope-intercept form of the equation. Oh, well, this has y's and x's. It's just all mixed around. Slope-intercept, it's supposed to be y equals mx plus b. So to get this into that form, I'm just going to do algebra. My basic strategy is I want to get the y by itself. Slope-intercept form, if you're trying to put it in slope-intercept form, all you're trying to do is get y by itself. Okay, how do you get y by itself here? Well, first you subtract 8x from both sides. And then usually it's helpful to write it like -8x minus 35, just because it's normal to have like the x part first. You could write it -35 minus 8x, that's the same thing, but it's probably easier to write like that. Okay, is the y by itself yet? No, because there's that 7 there. So I'm going to divide this side by 7. Make sure you divide both of these things by 7. I'll repeat that. You got to divide both of those things by 7. Now I got y by itself. Just leave that as a fraction. And then what's 35 divided by 7? That's -5. There we go. I put that line in slope-intercept form in y equals mx plus b4. What's the m? What's the slope? -8/7. What's the y-intercept? -5. Why don't you give this one a try? Get the y by itself, and specifically make sure it looks like y equals number x plus number. I'll give you a hint. Distribute the negative first. Okay, go ahead and pause and give that a try. Okay, I distributed the negative. I got y equals, or y minus 1 equals -x minus 3. Added 1 to both sides. I got y equals -x minus 2. That's in y equals mx plus b form. That's in slope-intercept form. I could then look at this, and someone could say, what's the slope? And I'd say -1. They could say, what's the y-intercept? And I could say -2. Okay. Let's talk point-slope form. So the one you're more familiar with is slope-intercept because it's got the slope and it's got the y-intercept. But you got this other one called point-slope. What do you think the one with point-slope involves? Well, it involves knowing a point and the slope. That's what I call point-slope. Okay. So if you know a point and a slope, point-slope is actually the better form to put it in. And it's the easier way to write the equation. The equation looks like this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 in parentheses. Let me clean up that little x1 there. Now, it looks more complicated. It really isn't, I promise. First off, it's slope-intercept. So one part's got to be the slope, one part's got to be the intercept. What's the m? Slope. M's always slope. So that's the slope. Easy. Where's the point? Be a little careful here. So you have like a y and a y1 and an x and an x1. The reason they use y1 and x1 is because that's the point. Okay, so the x and the y, like x1 and y1, are the actual point that you have. So you plug something in for m, which is your slope, and you plug something in for x1 and y1. Those are that's your point. And remember, the other y and the x stay y's and x's, because you're going to have y's and x's in your equation. Okay? And that's point slope. When you know a point and a slope. Yeah. It's actually really useful. Cool. Okay, let's do a couple problems with this. So it says, write the point slope form of the equation of the line through the given point with the given slope. Why would we use point slope? Well, because we know a point and a slope. It's actually easier to use point slope. Okay, so they tell us the slope. Remember, slope's m. They tell us a point. We're going to call that x1 and y1. And then we're just going to take our point slope form. And we're going to plug in stuff. So we're going to do y minus -5. -5 is minus -5 is the same as +5 equals m times x minus what x1 is. And we're done. We got the equation line in point slope form. It looks messier, but it's actually like easier to do when you just know a point and a slope. Okay. All right, last question. A little bit tricky. Write the point slope form of the equation of the line through the given points. Wait a second. Oh, I get that I have a point. I'll call that x1 and y1. But if I'm trying to do point slope, I need the slope. Well, don't tell me the slope. I got to calculate the slope. Okay, so I'll remind you about an important formula for finding the slope between 2 points. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And I hope you're like, oh yeah, I know that. That's how you find slope. That's how you find the m between 2 points. Okay. So if we got 2 points here, we call it x1, y1. I'll call this point x2, y2. And I'm going to find the slope between those points, since they don't tell me, by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. 4 minus negative 2 is 4 plus 2, that's 6. So my slope is negative 4 over 6, which is the same as negative 2/3. Okay. So now I have my m, I got a point, and I can write my line in point slope form. I know what you're thinking, which point should I use? Because I have 2 points. You can use either one, doesn't make a difference. I'm going to use the first one. Y minus y1 equals m, that I just figured out, times x minus x1. And it was minus negative 2, so I put plus 2, and it was minus negative 1, so I put plus 1. And that's my answer. Before we finish here, can you pause and give these 3 problems a try? And I'm just going to show up the answers at the end. Pause, give them a try. You guys can do this. It'll be quick. Give them a try. Okay, I'm just going to scroll through these real quick. I'm not going to talk through them, just so you can check your answers. There's that first one. There's that second one. And there's that third one. And with that third one, you could have written it with this other point as well if you wanted, but I chose the first point. Okay. All right, thanks for watching. That concludes this video. We'll practice this in class. Don't worry.